The transport ship shook as it entered the atmosphere of Kepler 442b. Dr. Lee-Hanna gripped her medical bag tighter and looked out the small window. The planet below was orange and red, with deep canyons cutting through the surface like scars. This was her new home for the next year. Hanna had been a combat medic for 6 years before becoming a doctor. She knew how to save lives when bullets were flying and resources were limited. Now the military wanted her to work with aliens. She was nervous but also excited. This was the chance of a lifetime. The ship landed with a heavy thud at Forward Operating Base Meridian. The doors opened and hot, dry air rushed in. Hanna stepped out carrying her 2 bags. The base was huge, with buildings made of metal and concrete, stretching in all directions. Strange vehicles moved between the structures. Some looked human, but others were clearly alien designs. A tall human officer approached her. He had short black hair and serious eyes. "Dr. Lee-Hanna, I am Captain Park." "Do-hyun, welcome to Meridian Base." He saluted and she returned it. "Thank you, Captain. I am ready to begin work," Hanna said. "Good. Let me show you around first. Then you can meet your team." Captain Park led her through the base. They passed human soldiers working alongside creatures she had only seen in training videos. The first aliens she saw were tall and thin with blue-gray skin. Their eyes were large and black. They moved in smooth, flowing motions. "Those are the Tathari," Captain Park explained. "They are excellent engineers and pilots." Next, they saw shorter, stockier beings with thick, scaly skin. They had 4 arms and moved equipment that would take 3 humans to lift. "The Vorthak are our heavy construction specialists," the captain said. But it was the third group that made Hanna stop walking. They looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. Their bodies were covered in hard, shiny shells. Multiple eyes dotted their heads, and they had 4 arms ending in sharp claws. "The Cathera," Captain Park said quietly. "They are our military commanders here." One of the insect beings noticed them watching. It approached with clicking sounds coming from its throat. When it spoke, the words were translated by a small device on its chest. "You are the new human medical officer," it said. The voice was mechanical, but she could hear disapproval in it. "I am Commander Thelnox. I question why we need human medical support when our healing technology is far superior to yours." Hanna felt heat rise in her cheeks, but kept her voice calm. "I am here to serve in whatever capacity is needed, Commander." The insect commander made more clicking sounds. "Human medicine is primitive. You use crude tools and manual procedures. Our nanites can repair damage in minutes that would take your surgery hours to fix." It paused, multiple eyes focusing on her. "But orders are orders. Try not to interfere with real medical work." Commander Thelnox walked away without another word. Captain Park looked embarrassed. "Sorry about that. The alien commanders do not understand why Earth Command insists on sending human medics. Their medical technology is incredibly advanced." "I see," Hanna said. She had expected this attitude. During training, they had warned her that many alien species viewed human medicine as backward. They continued the tour. The base medical facility was impressive. Alien healing pods filled one wing, with soft blue light emanating from their surfaces. Robotic arms moved with precision inside the pods, performing procedures too fast for human eyes to follow. Strange liquids bubbled in clear tubes connected to patients. "The healing pods can regenerate lost limbs in hours," Captain Park explained. "Broken bones heal in minutes. Even severe injuries that would be fatal to humans can be treated easily." Hanna nodded but felt uneasy. The technology was amazing, but something bothered her about it. Everything was automated. There were no doctors making decisions, just machines. Following programs, they reached the human quarters next. The buildings were smaller and simpler than the alien sections. Inside, she met her team. Corporal Kim Minho was cleaning his weapon when they entered. He was young, maybe 25, with broad shoulders and calloused hands. "Ma'am," he said, standing quickly, "I handle heavy weapons and explosives." Private Choi Yuna sat at a communications console. She looked up with bright, curious eyes. "Dr. Lee, I manage all communications between human and alien forces. I speak 4 alien languages now. The last team member was not human. Vextar was one of the reptilian Vorthak, but smaller than the others she had seen. His scales were dark green with gold patterns. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rumbling. "I am your liaison with alien forces," Vextar said. "I will help translate not just words, but meanings between species." He paused, tilting his large head. "I am curious about human medical methods. Our healing is automatic, but yours requires thinking and decisions." "That is correct," Hana said, pleased that at least one alien seemed interested, rather than dismissive. Captain Park pulled out a tablet and showed her their assignment. "Your team will be supporting frontline operations, mostly reconnaissance, missions and patrol support. Nothing too dangerous for now." He looked apologetic. "Commander Thelnox wants to see how human medical capabilities perform in low-risk situations first." "Understood," Hana said, though she felt frustrated. She had not come here to treat minor injuries in safe areas. That evening, she unpacked in her small room. Through the window, she could see alien and human personnel working together, preparing equipment and vehicles. The cooperation looked smooth on the surface, but she sensed underlying tensions. Her medical bag sat on the desk. Inside were simple tools that had not changed much in decades: scalpels, bandages, medications, and diagnostic equipment that required human judgment to use effectively. Compared to the alien healing pods, her equipment looked like antiques. But Hana remembered her training instructor's words. The best medical tool is a thinking mind. Technology fails. Equipment breaks. But a doctor who can adapt and improvise will always find a way to save lives. She hoped she would get the chance to prove that human medicine had value beyond what the aliens understood. For now, she would. Wait and prepare. When the real test came, she would be ready to show them what human medical training could accomplish. The next morning would bring their first mission briefing. Hana went to sleep wondering what challenges lay ahead in the hostile environment of Kepler 442b. 3 days later, Commander Thelnox called the team to the briefing room. The insect commander's multiple eyes focused on each team member as they entered. Captain Park led the way, followed by Hana, Corporal Kim, Private Choi, and Vextar. "Your first mission is simple reconnaissance," Commander Thelnox announced. His mechanical voice showed no emotion. "The Crimson Canyons, Sector 7. Intelligence reports suggest minimal Ravager activity. You will observe and report enemy positions." Hana noticed the dismissive tone. This was clearly meant to be easy. Work, almost like training. She felt insulted but kept her expression neutral. "What about enemy capabilities?" Captain Park asked. "Any new weapons or tactics?" "Nothing beyond standard Ravager forces," the commander replied. "Basic energy weapons and infantry tactics. Your human equipment should be adequate for observation only." He paused. "Take 2 Sithari scouts with you. Their technology will provide real protection if needed." The 2 blue-skinned aliens stepped forward. They wore advanced armor that shimmered with energy fields. Strange devices covered their belts and arms. Everything about them spoke of superior technology. "We are Veltar and Nixalon," the taller one said through his translator. "We will ensure mission success while you humans observe." Hana felt the condescension but said nothing. Vextar shifted uncomfortably beside her, his scales changing to a darker shade. They departed an hour later in 2 vehicles. The human team rode in a standard military transport, while the Sithari used their own floating craft. The journey to The Crimson Canyons took 3 hours across rocky terrain. The canyons were beautiful, but dangerous. Red rock walls rose hundreds of feet on both sides, creating narrow passages and hidden spaces. Perfect for ambushes, Hana thought. She checked her medical supplies for the 3rd time. "Comms check," Private Choi said into her radio. All team members confirmed they were connected. Captain Park studied his maps. "We set up observation posts on the North Ridge. Corporal Kim, you take overwatch position. Dr. Lee and Private Choi stay with me at the command post. Vextar coordinates with our Sathari friends." They moved carefully through the canyon floor. The silence felt wrong to Hana. Her combat experience told her something was not right, but she could not identify what bothered her. The Cathari scouts moved ahead with confidence. Their energy shields glowed softly, and their weapons hummed with power. They seemed completely unconcerned about danger. "Contact!" Corporal Kim's voice crackled through the radio. "Multiple Ravager signatures moving through the eastern passages. This is not minimal activity." Before anyone could respond, the canyon erupted in violence. Energy blasts struck the rock walls around them, but these were not normal Ravager weapons. The energy beams were deep purple and seemed to bend and twist in unnatural ways. "Take cover!" Captain Park shouted. The team scattered behind rocks and canyon walls. Hana pressed herself against cold stone and pulled out her medical scanner. She wanted to be ready for casualties. The first scream came from Veltar, one of the Sathari scouts. Hana looked up to see him staggering backward, his energy shield flickering wildly. Where the purple energy had hit him, his blue skin was turning black and peeling away. "What is happening to him?" Private Choi called out. Veltar collapsed, his body convulsing. The other Sathari scout, Nixalon, tried to help, but suddenly cried out in pain. His skin was also beginning to blacken and decay wherever the purple energy had touched it. "Vextar!" Hana called to their alien teammate. "Are you hurt?" The reptilian alien was pressed against a rock wall, but she could see his scales changing color rapidly. Not the normal emotional color changes she had seen before. These were patches of scales turning gray and falling off his body. "I do not understand." Vextar's voice was strained with pain. "My regenerative systems are not responding. They are making the damage worse." Hana's training kicked in. She moved from cover to cover until she reached Veltar. The Sathari alien was barely conscious. His advanced armor was still functioning, but his body was failing rapidly. The black decay was spreading across his skin like an infection. Private Choi, get me readings on this energy signature, Hana ordered. "Captain Park, we need immediate evacuation for casualties." "Negative on evacuation," Captain Park replied. "We are pinned down by enemy fire. At least 20 Ravagers in the eastern passage." Corporal Kim's heavy weapon opened fire, providing covering fire for the team. But the enemy continued their assault with the strange purple energy weapons. Hana pulled out her medical scanner and ran it over Veltar. The readings made no sense. The alien's cellular structure was breaking down at the molecular level. His natural healing systems were not just failing. They were accelerating the damage. "Vextar, what can you tell me about Sathari biology?" she called out. "Their healing depends on cellular regeneration nanites," Vextar replied weakly. "But the nanites are being corrupted by this energy. They are attacking healthy tissue instead of repairing damage." Hana looked at her simple medical supplies. Bandages, antiseptics, basic medications designed for human biology. None of it should work on aliens. But she had to try something. She pressed a pressure bandage against Veltar's worst injury. To her surprise, it slowed the spreading decay. The mechanical healing systems were making things worse, but basic physical pressure was helping. The nanites are the problem, she realized. They are being turned against the patient. Nixalon was also getting worse. His advanced medical systems beeped and flashed with warnings, but every treatment they attempted made the bioweapon's effects stronger. The alien healing technology had become a weakness. "Dr. Lee, can you help them?" Captain Park asked between bursts of gunfire. Hana looked at her basic medical kit, then at the two dying aliens. Everything she had been taught, said alien biology, was too different, too advanced for human medicine to help. But everything the aliens had been taught was killing them. I need to try something completely different, she said. Something that does not rely on their healing systems at all. The battle continued around them, while Hana faced her first real test. The aliens' advanced medicine was failing them. Now they needed something simpler, something more primitive, something human. Hana took a deep breath and made a decision that would shock everyone watching. She reached into her medical bag and pulled out the most basic tool she owned, a simple scalpel. "What are you doing?" Vextar asked weakly from behind his rock cover. "Something. My instructors taught me," Hana replied. "When advanced medicine fails, go back to basics." She examined Veltar's blackened skin more carefully. The alien nanites were trying to regenerate tissue, but the bioweapon was corrupting that process. Every time the nanites tried to heal, they made more damaged tissue. It was like watching someone pour gasoline on a fire trying to put it out. Hana did something that horrified the aliens. She began cutting away the infected tissue with her scalpel. No advanced tools, no energy healing, just a sharp blade and steady hands. "You are making him worse," Nixalon gasped from where he lay dying. "No," Hana said calmly as she worked. "I am stopping the infection from spreading." She cut away black, corrupted flesh and exposed healthy tissue underneath. Then she did something even more primitive. She packed the wounds with simple gauze soaked in antiseptic. The spreading decay stopped. Veltar's eyes opened wide with surprise. His translator device was damaged, but he managed to speak. "The pain is less." "How is this possible?" "Human medicine does not depend on automatic healing," Hana explained as she worked. "We learn to treat problems manually, step by step." She applied pressure bandages over the gauze. Sometimes the old ways work better than new technology. "Captain?" Park watched in amazement while providing cover fire. "Is it working?" "Yes," Hana said. She moved to Nixalon and began the same treatment. "The bioweapon targets regenerative systems, but if we do not use those systems, the weapon has nothing to attack." She worked quickly, cutting away infected tissue and cleaning wounds with basic antiseptic. Her movements were precise and confident. This was combat medicine at its most fundamental level. "Vexitar, how are you doing?" she called out. "Better now that I stopped trying to heal myself," the reptilian alien replied. "My scales stopped falling off when I turned off my regeneration." Private Choi looked up from her communications equipment. "Dr. Lee, I am getting readings that the Ravager weapons are designed specifically to target alien healing nanites. They turn the nanites into poison." "That explains everything," Hana said as she finished treating Nixalon. "Human medicine evolved without nanites. We learned to heal the hard way, manually, step by step, using observation and adaptation." Corporal Kim called out from his overwatch position. "Enemy is moving closer. We need to get out of here soon." "The patients be moved?" Captain Park asked. Hana checked both Sathari aliens. Their conditions had stabilized, but they were still weak. "They need more treatment. But yes, we can move them if we have to." "Good, because we are about to have company," Kim reported. The team prepared to move, but Veltar grabbed Hana's arm with surprising strength. "Doctor, you saved my life with primitive tools. How is this possible when our advanced medicine failed?" Hana helped him sit up carefully. "Your medicine is designed for perfect conditions with known problems. Human medicine is designed for chaos, for treating unknown injuries with whatever tools we have available." She gathered her simple medical supplies. "We learned medicine during wars, disasters, and emergencies. We had to make it work with limited resources and no perfect solutions." Nixalon struggled to stand with Vextar's help. "Our medical systems are programmed responses. Yours requires thinking and decision-making. Exactly, Hana said. Every human, doctor learns to diagnose unknown conditions and adapt treatment in real time. We do not rely on automatic systems to make decisions for us. The sound of enemy weapons grew closer. The team began moving through the canyon toward their extraction point. Hana stayed close to the wounded aliens, monitoring their condition as they moved. Dr. Lee, Private Choi said quietly, I have been monitoring alien communications channels. Word about what you did here is already spreading through their networks. What kind of word? Captain Park asked. They are calling it impossible, Choi replied. Alien medical officers are saying that human primitive medicine should not have worked on alien biology. Vextar laughed, a deep rumbling sound. They do not understand. Human medicine is not primitive, it is adaptive. That is much more advanced than any technology. As they reached the extraction point, Hana reflected on what had happened. She had used the most basic medical techniques. Cutting, cleaning, bandaging. No fancy technology, no automatic systems. Just human knowledge and skill applied to an alien problem. The rescue vehicles arrived and loaded the wounded. As they drove back to base, Veltar spoke to Hana through his partially repaired translator. Doctor, I must ask you something. How do humans learn to treat conditions they have never seen before? Hana thought carefully before answering. We learn principles, not just procedures. We understand how bodies work, how injuries heal, how infections spread. Then we apply those principles to whatever situation we face. Even alien situations? A wound is a wound, Hana said simply. Infection is infection. Pain is pain. The basics are the same across species, even if the details are different. Nixalan nodded slowly. Our medicine treats known conditions with programmed responses, but you treated an unknown condition by understanding the basic problem and solving it step by step. That is what human medical training teaches us, Hana replied. How to think through problems, not just follow protocols. As they approached the base, she could see other medical personnel waiting for them. Both human and alien doctors were there, ready to take over treatment of the wounded. But Hana knew that something fundamental had changed during this mission. The aliens had seen human medicine succeed where their advanced technology had failed. The question now was whether they would be willing to learn from it. Back at Base Meridian, news of the canyon incident spread quickly through both human and alien channels. Commander Thelnox paced in his command center, his multiple eyes flashing with confusion and irritation. Explain to me again how primitive. Human medical techniques succeeded where our advanced healing pods failed, he demanded from the gathered medical officers. Dr. Koenig's, the chief Sithari medical officer, shifted uncomfortably. Commander, the bioweapons specifically targeted our nanite healing systems. The human doctors simply bypassed those systems entirely. By cutting into living tissue with metal blades, Commander Thelnox clicked disapprovingly. Barbaric, but effective, interrupted Vextar, who had insisted on attending the briefing despite his injuries. Dr. Lee saved lives that our medicine could not help. Meanwhile, in the human medical bay, Hana was treating the final wounds on Veltar and Nixalan. Both Sithari aliens were recovering well under her continued care. Word had spread throughout the alien medical community, and she had received several requests for consultations. Dr. Lee, Veltar said as she checked his bandages, may I ask you something personal? Of course. How long did it take you to learn to make medical decisions? So quickly? Hana considered the question while cleaning a healing wound. My entire career has been training for quick decisions. First as a combat medic, then as an emergency doctor. Human medical training is designed around the idea that you will face unknown situations with limited time and resources. But how do you learn to treat injuries you have never seen before? We study principles, not just procedures, Hana explained. We learn how blood flows, how tissue heals, how infections spread, how pain works. Once you understand the basic principles, you can apply them to any situation. Nixalan listened intently. Our medical training focuses on operating our healing technology correctly. We memorize which nanite programs to use for specific injuries. What happens when you encounter an injury that does not match your programs? Hana asked. We consult the medical database for similar cases, Nixalon replied. If nothing matches, we call for specialist support. And if no specialist is available? Both aliens were quiet for a moment. Finally, Veltar spoke. Then the patient dies while we wait for help. Hana nodded. That is the difference. Human doctors are trained to never wait for help. We learn to figure out solutions with whatever we have available. Private Choi appeared in the doorway. Dr. Lee, Captain Park needs you in the briefing room. We have another mission. Hana gathered her medical supplies and headed for the briefing room. She found Captain Park, Corporal Kim, Vextar, and, surprisingly, Commander Thelnox waiting for her. Doctor, the insect commander began without preamble, intelligence reports that the Ravagers have deployed their bioweapons across multiple sectors. Our alien medical units are requesting human medical support. Hana was surprised. They want human help? Specifically, they want your help, Captain Park clarified. Word about what you accomplished in the canyon has reached the highest levels of alien command. Commander Thelnox made uncomfortable clicking sounds. I am ordered to assign your team to support frontline alien units facing bioweapon attacks. This goes against my better judgment, but orders are orders. What is the mission? Hana asked. 3 alien outposts are under attack, Captain Park explained, showing her a tactical display. Each has casualties from bioweapons that their medical systems cannot treat. You will visit each outpost and provide whatever assistance you can. The aliens have specifically requested that you bring only human medical equipment, Commander Thelnox added with obvious distaste. They believe their own technology is compromised. Hana studied the mission parameters. 3 outposts, dozens of casualties, all suffering from weapons designed to turn advanced healing systems against the patient. It would be the ultimate test of adaptive human medicine. When do we leave? She asked. 1 hour, Captain Park replied. The transport is being prepared now. As they prepared for departure, Vexitar approached Hana privately. Doctor, I have a confession. I volunteered for this mission not just as your liaison, but because I want to learn your medical methods. Learn human medicine? Hana was surprised. Yes, my people have excellent regenerative abilities, but what happens when those abilities are turned against us? Today proved that our advanced healing can become a weakness. Hana nodded thoughtfully. Human medicine might be adaptable to your physiology. The basic principles should work across species. Will you teach me? Vexitar asked. If you are serious about learning, yes. But it requires a different way of thinking about medicine. Less reliance on technology, more on observation and reasoning. I am ready to learn, Vexitar said firmly. The transport lifted off an hour later, carrying the team toward their first destination. As they flew over the alien landscape, Hana reviewed what she knew about the different species they would encounter. Private Choi, what alien languages will I need? She asked. I can translate for you, Choi replied. But you should know that. Many of the aliens we will treat have never worked with human medical personnel before. They may be resistant to your methods, especially if those methods involve cutting into their bodies with primitive tools, Corporal Kim added with a grin. Then we will have to prove that primitive tools can save lives when advanced technology fails, Hana said. The first outpost came into view, a collection of crystalline structures built into a mountainside. Even from the air, they could see signs of battle damage. Smoke rose from several buildings, and the landing pad was scarred with weapon impacts. This is Outpost Zephyr, Captain Park announced, defended by Thylin crystal beings. Their biology is silicon-based rather than carbon-based. Hana had never treated silicon-based life forms before, but she had studied their basic physiology during training. Their injuries will present differently, but the principles of trauma treatment should still apply. The transport landed and they were met by a tall, translucent being that sparkled like living crystal. Through a translator device, it spoke in chiming tones. "I am healer Nimtar. We have 17 casualties that our resonance healing cannot help. The bioweapons have corrupted our crystal matrix regeneration. Please, can your primitive medicine help us?" Hana smiled at the unintentional irony. "Let me see the patients. We will find out what human medicine can do." As they entered the medical facility, Hana saw alien beings suffering from injuries unlike anything she had encountered before. But her training had prepared her for this moment. Unknown conditions, unfamiliar biology, limited resources. It was time to show the galaxy what human medical adaptability could accomplish. "Nothing changed," Hana replied. "Human medicine has always been about adaptation and resourcefulness. It just took the right situation to show the galaxy what that really means." As they walked back toward the medical center, Vextar asked one final question. "What is next for the training program?" Hana smiled. "We keep teaching doctors to think, not just to operate technology. We show them that the best medicine combines advanced tools with adaptive minds. And we prepare for whatever new challenges the galaxy might face. Because humans are ready for anything? Because adaptive thinking is ready for anything," Hana corrected. "And now that thinking belongs to every species willing to learn it." They entered the medical center where night shift staff were tending to recovering patients. Alien medical officers trained in human methods worked alongside traditional healers, creating a new standard of care that combined the best of all approaches. In her office, Hana sat down to begin writing the manual that would define medical training across the galaxy. She started with a simple principle that her first instructor had taught her years ago. The best medical tool is a thinking mind. Technology fails, equipment breaks, but a doctor who can observe, adapt, and improvise will always find a way to help their patients. As she wrote, Hana realized that this was bigger than medicine. Human adaptive thinking was becoming a new way for the galaxy to approach any complex problem. The same principles that made human doctors effective in unknown situations could help engineers design better systems, help commanders develop flexible tactics, and help diplomats navigate unexpected challenges. But it all started with a simple human idea. When facing the unknown, the best response is not to rely on perfect tools, but to think creatively with whatever tools you have. The manual would teach that lesson to every species in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, the next generation of doctors would learn that adaptation and creativity were more powerful than any technology. Human medicine had shown the galaxy a new way to think. Now it was time to see how far that thinking could spread. 6 months later, Forward Operating Base Meridian looked very different. The medical complex had been expanded to include the new Interspecies Adaptive Medical Training Center. Alien medical officers from dozens of species came to learn what had become known throughout the galaxy as human method medical training. Dr. Lee Hana stood in the main training facility, watching a mixed class of alien students practice emergency trauma procedures. A crystal being was learning to perform manual wound closure on a practice dummy. Nearby, a gaseous energy creature was using solid-state medical tools for the first time in its existence. "Dr. Lee," came a familiar voice behind her. She turned to see Vexatar approaching, now wearing the insignia of a certified human method instructor. "The morning class has completed their practical examinations. All 23 students passed." Hana smiled with pride. "Including the mechanical collective representatives?" "Especially them," Vexatar replied. "They were the most resistant to learning non-technological medicine, but now they understand its value." The success of the training program had exceeded everyone's expectations. Medical officers trained in human adaptive techniques were showing dramatically better outcomes when facing unknown medical challenges. More importantly, they were becoming better at using their own species' advanced medical technology. "Ma'am, Private Choi called from the communications station. Priority message from Sector Command. We have a major incident developing. Hana and Vextar moved quickly to the command center where Captain Park and Corporal Kim were already reviewing. Incoming reports. What is the situation? Hana asked. Captain Park pointed to the tactical display. Massive Ravager assault on base Meridian. Estimated 300 enemy forces with multiple bioweapon variants. This is not a raid. This is an invasion attempt. Casualties? Already coming in, Corporal Kim reported. First wave hit the eastern perimeter 20 minutes ago. Multiple species affected by at least 6 different bioweapon types. Hana felt. Her heart rate increased, but her training kept her calm. This was exactly the kind of situation the new hybrid medical approach was designed for. Vextar, activate all human method-trained medical officers. Captain Park, I need transport to the frontline medical stations. Ma'am, Private Choi interrupted. Commander Thelnox is requesting your personal presence in the main medical bay. They have casualties that no one knows how to treat. Hana grabbed her medical bag. Still the same simple collection of basic tools she had carried from the beginning. But now it represented something much larger than human medicine. It represented adaptability itself. The main medical bay was chaos when she arrived. Dozens of wounded aliens filled the spaces between advanced healing pods and basic surgical tables. The scene that greeted her would have been impossible 6 months earlier. Alien medical officers using human techniques alongside their traditional technology. Dr. Koenig's approached her quickly. Dr. Lee, we have never seen bioweapons like these. They are adapting to our treatments in real time. Even the human techniques are being countered. Hana moved quickly between patients, assessing the situation. The bioweapons had evolved beyond their previous capabilities. They were now targeting both technological healing and manual intervention techniques. Vextar, what do you see? She asked as they examined a wounded insectoid soldier. The bioweapon is learning from our treatments, Vextar replied, his scales showing deep concentration patterns. Every time we apply a technique, it adapts to counter that specific approach. Hana paused, thinking quickly. This was the ultimate test of human adaptive medicine, facing an enemy that could adapt as quickly as they could. Then we need to do something it cannot adapt to, she said. We need to be more adaptive than the weapon itself. She called out to all medical personnel in the bay. Listen carefully. These bioweapons learn from our treatments. So we are going to treat each patient differently, using constantly changing approaches. No 2 patients get the same treatment sequence. Dr. Koenig looked confused. But how do we coordinate care without consistent protocols? We use human method principles, Hana explained while working on a patient. Observe the specific condition, understand the underlying problem, and create a unique solution for each case. The weapon can adapt to specific treatments, but it cannot adapt to unlimited creativity. What followed was the most complex medical operation in galactic history. Each patient received completely individualized care based on real-time assessment and creative problem-solving. Alien medical officers applied human adaptive thinking to their own species technology, creating treatment combinations that had never been attempted before. A crystal being received manual surgery combined with resonance healing at frequencies that had never been tested. A gaseous creature was treated with both energy manipulation and physical containment techniques. Mechanical beings were repaired using both their own repair protocols and improvised human maintenance approaches. The bioweapons, designed to adapt to medical treatments, could not keep up with the sheer variety and creativity of approaches being used. It is working, Vexitar reported after 2 hours of intensive treatment. Patient recovery rates are above 80% despite the advanced bioweapons. Commander Thelnox appeared in the medical bay, his multiple eyes taking in the scene of organized chaos. Dr. Lee, I have just received reports from across the sector. Medical units trained in human methods are achieving similar success rates against these adaptive bioweapons. The key is not having one perfect solution, Hana replied while suturing a wound on a reptilian soldier. The key is having infinite adaptable solutions. As the battle continued outside, the medical bay became a demonstration of everything the hybrid training program had accomplished. Alien medical officers were thinking like human doctors, using creativity and adaptability to overcome challenges that pure technology could not solve. But they were also using their advanced alien technology in new ways, guided by human adaptive principles rather than rigid protocols. "Ma'am," Private Choi called out, "incoming priority message from Galactic Medical Command." Hana continued working while listening to the message. Commander Thelnox read it aloud. "By order of the Galactic Medical Council, human adaptive medical training is hereby designated as mandatory for all military medical personnel across all member species. Furthermore, Dr. Lee Hana is requested to establish training centers in all major sectors." The medical bay fell quiet for a moment as the significance sank in, then work resumed with renewed energy. Later that evening, after the Ravager assault had been repelled and all casualties treated, Hana stood on the observation deck looking out at the alien landscape. Vextar joined her, both exhausted but satisfied. "Doctor," Vextar said quietly, "do you realize what you have accomplished?" "We saved lives today," Hana replied simply. "More than that, you have changed how an entire galaxy thinks about problem-solving. Human adaptive thinking is now spreading beyond medicine into engineering, tactical planning, even diplomatic relations." Hana considered this. "I just applied what every human doctor learns, how to help people with whatever tools are available. That philosophy is revolutionary to species that have relied on perfect technology for thousands of years," Vextar explained. "You showed us that the most advanced approach is not having the best tools, but knowing how to use any tools effectively." A message alert chimed on Hana's communicator. She read it and smiled. "What is it?" Vextar asked. "A request from the Galactic Medical Council. They want me to write the official medical training manual for all species. It will be called Adaptive. Medical Principles, the Human Method." "And will you?" Hana looked out at the stars visible in the alien sky. Somewhere out there, medical officers from dozens of species were learning to think like human doctors. They were learning that medicine was not about following perfect protocols, but about adapting to help patients in any situation. "Yes," she said, "but not just as a human manual, as a universal guide to adaptive thinking in medicine. The goal is not to make alien doctors think like humans, but to help all doctors think more adaptively." Vextar's scales showed pleased patterns. "The manual should include case studies from today's battle, showing how adaptive thinking overcame adaptive bioweapons." "Agreed. And it should emphasize that the best medical tool is still a thinking mind willing to adapt and improvise." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching alien ships returning from successful combat missions. The day had proven that human adaptive medicine could handle any challenge, even enemies that evolved to counter medical treatment. "Doctor," Vexitar said finally, "I have one more question." "What is it?" "When you first arrived here, did you imagine this would happen?" Hana thought back to her first day at Base Meridian, when Commander Thelnox had dismissed human medicine as primitive. She remembered the alien healing pods that seemed so advanced, and her simple medical bag that had seemed so inadequate. "No," she said honestly. "I thought I would be supporting alien medicine with basic human techniques. I never imagined that human thinking could become the foundation for galactic medical training." "What changed?" "Nothing changed," Hana replied. "Human medicine has always been about adaptation and resourcefulness. It just took the right situation to show the galaxy what that really means." As they walked back toward the medical center, Vextar asked one final question. "What is next for the training program?" Hana smiled. "We keep teaching doctors to think, not just to operate technology. We show them that the best medicine combines advanced tools with adaptive minds, and we prepare for whatever new challenges the galaxy might face. Because humans are ready for anything? Because adaptive thinking is ready for anything, Hannah corrected. And now that thinking belongs to every species willing to learn it. They entered the medical center where night shift staff were tending to recovering patients. Alien medical. Officers trained in human methods worked alongside traditional healers, creating a new standard of care that combined the best of all approaches. In her office, Hannah sat down to begin writing the manual that would define medical training across the galaxy. She started with a simple principle that her first instructor had taught her years ago. The best medical tool is a thinking mind. Technology fails, equipment breaks, but a doctor who can observe, adapt, and improvise will always find a way to help their patients. As she wrote, Hannah realized that this was bigger than medicine. Human adaptive thinking was becoming a new way for the galaxy to approach any complex problem. The same principles that made human doctors effective in unknown situations could help engineers design better systems, help commanders develop flexible tactics, and help diplomats navigate unexpected challenges. But it all started with a simple, human idea. When facing the unknown, the best response is not to rely on perfect tools, but to think creatively with whatever tools you have. The manual would teach that lesson to every species in the galaxy, and somewhere out there, the next generation of doctors would learn that adaptation and creativity were more powerful than any technology. Human medicine had shown the galaxy a new way to think. Now it was time to see how far that thinking could spread.